YouTube Nation. Another day, another dollar in the hole. We're working on the Sente today. So, uh, this is what we're at as of last week. And then now we've started tearing into the second engine, the donor. So, I've already got the timing chain out, back in, rolled it over a few times. Seems to be doing somewhat okay. I can't tell because the tensioners need oil pressure. So I won't know if the rattle that's inherent in that one is actually gone. So I don't know if I've got the thing done. So now we're going to pull the rest of this apart. I was doing this and taking the goo that was on this to reseal it back on the engine. And I didn't realize that this one here is actually one like this, and then it pulls out. There's a little channel here. So now I gotta take and rob the seal out of this one and put it into that one because I have no seals and nobody has them. They're what the hell do you call them? They're like these ones, where they're nice and flexible still, and they'll squish down again and reusable. So I just gotta pull this one out and then take it out of that one. I was using a razor blade and then shing, thinking that was stuff that was crammed in there. And yeah, oops. So we can fix that. So yeah, we're gonna pull this apart and somewhat attempt to get a majority of it taken apart today. It's Saturday, and slow and easy, take it apart. And tomorrow hopefully it'll be on the floor and we'll get the new one in, and hopefully the blasted thing will start. Still yet to see that. Tried to do it on the last one. Did the check for air fuel mixture and all the other shit, and it'll turn over, but it won't fire. It doesn't even attempt to. So I'm thinking that the engine itself is severely hurt from the incident that it's gone through. I don't know. It has virtually no life. I'm hoping it's just the engine and nothing else in the car that is a problem, because if it's another problem in the car, I've got to go searching for it. And I really don't want to do that, because that's a gremlin I do not want to chase. But yeah, we're this far into it. We'll see what we can do. And yeah. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Time to get at it. Check you later. Day 2. Sunday, mid-afternoon. And we have given birth to an engine. To get this peg out, it's not exactly easy. Through here is a CV axle. Hold on. Yeah. I have the all-wheel drive version. So that axle there has a bracket that goes around for the exhaust manifold piece to hold it up. Then there's this one bolt here. As you can see, it is a blind bolt you can't get at. You can only see it from this side, and just barely. You can just see it. So, in order to get it out, you have to shave this piece off just to get at this bolt, which goes like, it is that wide to get this thing out. So you literally can just pull it out that far, and that is it. You can't get it out any further. It hits the all-wheel drive. But yeah, since this engine is euchred anyway, I cut the flange off so I can get a 17 mil bolt in there, or a wrench, and twist it. I only have like that much room to twist. So maybe just one creak, and then you just kind of flip the wrench around, flip it over again, flip the wrench over, do it again, until such time as you can get your fingers in there and then pull it out. So yeah, that bolt there. This piece here goes down to this bolt, so you have to take this one off. Power steering pump is remained in place. I just take this hose off, take the banjo bolt off of here. The alternator stays in place. I had to take this off, or the pulley for the water pump. Had to take it off, and then I had to take the AC pump off, just so the engine could twist enough that it would slide out. And then, yeah, Bob's your uncle. The transmission itself is held in by 3 mounts. There's one here, there's one there, and there's one up there. So the transmission self-supports. The only thing you have to do is you have to pull the... sorry for the sniffles. I got a bit of a cold that I'm dealing with here. You have to take this off to get at the starter, because the starter lies right here, and unfortunately the transmission is bolted through it into the starter. So you have to take the starter off. To get at the bolts for the transmission, you go through that inspection plate, and then you just roll the engine over, and there's 6 bolts to take out of there. And yeah, it's is not nearly as bad as I thought it was. It's just, I have never done one of these cars before, so trying to find some of the bolts to get them out is interesting. Oh, and the other thing is, there's 3 bolts to hold this fucker in place. 3 there and there and there, and 2 dowels. As soon as you pop the engine, this thing pulls back. There's also a bracket that holds this to the backside of the engine. It looks like, where did it go? Nope. Here it is. So this guy here sits on the all-wheel drive and bolts onto the engine that way. So there's 2 here, and there's 2 here. You can get at this from the passenger side. I used, where is it? Uber long extension, right there, and a socket on it, and a swivel bit. Where is it? This guy. So it swivels in like so to get around the CV axle, and you just crack it loose. Once you crack it loose, you can get it out with your fingers. And this one, I used old Jumbo here, and I can reach in from the passenger side and crack them loose by hand. And yeah, you just pop these 2 out. So the big Jumbo, you get at these 2, and then these 2 you crack loose with the swivel bit, and then you also crack the ones for the CV axle mount loose as well. And then the exhaust one looks like this guy. So it sits on the exhaust like so. So the top bolts is part of the exhaust, and this goes to the block. And the CV axle goes through the center of that. So where my hand is where the CV axle is. And yeah, it's a little daunting, but it's not so bad. And then after you get the starter bolt out, because there's one right there that you have to take this off because you can't see it from the other side. So you have to take the mount off, take that bolt back out. You can get at the top one, which is here, and pull this off. Then you can get the starter bolts, pull the starter off. And I opted to put this back on with 2 bolts. I didn't even put the 3 back in it for the frame. And then it just holds it there. And then I kind of just wiggle the engine right, and boop, out she comes. And then just slide it forward. Mind you, like I said, this thing has been in an accident before. So the front end is completely wasted anyway. So getting at the various parts and pieces that I need to get at was a whole lot easier, because you're literally standing there and then just reaching over the engine. Like, I took the intake off too, just to get at some things, which made it a little easier. So your results may vary, but it's out. So now I have to transfer parts and pieces off of this one to that donor, which I'm hoping I got the timing right on. It's all the marks line up. It's just I don't know which way the engine rotates just yet, because I haven't watched this one rotate. So I'm hoping I got that one right, because right now it's doing some weird clattering, but I'm not sure if I'm rotating it the right way. I'm rotating it this way. So the tensioner's popping. So I don't know if it's just rotating this way and the tensioner will hold it. I don't know yet. We'll find out when I get it in there and it makes noise, and I'll have to go in there and do some other stuff. But yeah, there she is. I took this one off so I can get at the starter. Yes, I had to take this off in order to get the starter. I'm sure there's a way to pull that off without pulling the starter or the manifold off, or the dealership would be charging you more, but I don't know. The starter literally lies in, oh, that's for the CV axle. Starter lies in behind everything else. So, yeah, so now we've got to do the whole put Humpty Dumpty back together again thing. Well, I've rambled on long enough. Time to get at the rest of the engine. So, new engine, or newer engine is in place. All the extra stuff is put back on. The old decrepit one is sitting there. Still can't figure out why it did what it did. But there's very little compression in that one. Timing chains just go okay. This one's got a buttload of freaking compression. And timing chains are correct. I had to go and look it up again. And I made the relief for the bolt. So I've sanded it down to the block and then took that little tab out of there. So I can get this bolt back into place like snow and flop it back in the hole. This hole here is for the block heater. I kind of need that out of the way in order to put the wrench onto that. This thing sticks out about that far. So I'll put that back in once I get that put back into place. But I have to put that in now, or there's no getting it in there. There's absolutely no way of getting it in there after you drop the engine in place. Because as soon as you get the engine near the all-wheel drive, the space shortens because you got to bring it forward. So it'll probably go in like that and then push itself back out. So that's where we're at right now. Everything is buttoned up except for the intake because I need it to get in there. Alternator's back in, tensioner's back in, water pump. I used the one from the old engine because it seems a bit have been replaced. This one is a little more floppy. Turns a little easier. So, and then I used the timing cover from the old one because I ended up accidentally cutting one of the fucking gaskets. So I pulled it all off, put it all back together, good to go. So now we just fire Humpty Dumpty back in the hole. It's almost 7 o'clock at night. I've been working on this thing since probably about 10 this morning. So, as you can see, we've successfully transplanted the donor into the suspected patient, and we've added all the wires and shit. I just had it running, which is surprising because I didn't think it was actually going to fire to life. Because the other, that one, I checked for spark, had it. I checked for fuel, I had it. I had air and had it. That thing doesn't want to run. But after pulling it out of the car, it's got really wickedly low compression. When I was spinning it over, there was no resistance. This one has resistance. It has a lot of resistance. So I was still hesitant that I actually had the timing chain done right, but all the marks lined up, everything was copacetic and was good to go. So yeah, we've got all the harness. I've got my Mazda 6 battery sitting on it for right now, and we will give you a demonstration. There you have it. It runs. It's alive. I can't run it for very long because I have no water, no rad, and no exhaust at the moment. Still got to put all that crap on. But it's a step in the right direction. I'm quite happy, and I'm going to call it a day. So for this time, have a good day.